Chapter 1. Achieve Mastery. In any profession, in order to be trusted by your clients, you need to have a complete understanding of your subject matter. It's important to ensure you understand everything there is to know about the work that you're doing. Likewise, when translating from home, a full comprehension of your target language pairs is completely necessary. You'll be surprised by the variety of translation questions that arise as things pick up, and the different words you wouldn't realize you hadn't thought of. If you're a native speaker, this will be considerably less difficult, but if not, there are a few steps that can help you prepare for the unknown. Before starting translation, I covered a large variety of subjects, from giving street directions and recipes to teaching about citizenship in the United States. Even so, I've learned a huge amount since starting to translate as my job. One job had me writing a breakup letter from an estranged lover to her ex-partner, and the next one had me writing out hospital contracts. The world of translation is strange and diverse, especially online. The more you can utilize the skill set that you learn, the more jobs you'll be able to fill. One of my favorite situations was when I was first invited to directly apply subtitles to a pre-made video. I had translated scripts before, but had to edit the video directly. Honestly, I didn't know how to, but I searched for some instructions, found a couple videos, and got to work. Because I was willing to diversify, I got to branch out and I was paid more than I would have been otherwise. There's no guaranteed way to assure that you're ready for everything, but hopefully a few of these tips I found useful will help you prepare and lead to a profitable time. Read books and buy dictionaries. Reading books in your language helps a lot more than you might think. While you may understand many of the words you use in everyday language, there are a large variety discovered through reading that wouldn't be studied otherwise. Understanding the word for longbow in your target language may not be necessary when speaking to friends, but may be required in your new line of work. FluentU.com suggests, maybe you've fallen in love with a native speaker and wanted to knock her socks off with confessions of love in her native tongue. Or perhaps a career promotion or assignment hinges on you being able to converse in a foreign dialect. So you need to learn the language, and fast. Nothing wrong with that. By sitting down and reading, you're going to get yourself farther, faster. Many children learn new words through reading, and you shouldn't be ashamed to start at the same level. Finding and reading books appropriate for your level, wherever that may be, will grant you impressive access to a larger vocabulary and make you more competent as you strive to translate. Dictionaries can be very helpful for a lot of the same reasons, though you'll want to make sure that your clients are okay with you using a dictionary for reference before you begin. Online dictionaries may be appropriate for some language pairs, but others don't offer available support. Here's a translated passage that one of my clients gave me permission to include. When we face adversity, or something we disagree with, it is most often us who has to change our attitude. Growing up, this can be especially difficult to understand fully. As a teenager, if there was one thing I was never lacking in, it was attitude. Something that seems to be a common occurrence among teenagers. I would fight with my parents over everything, even when I agreed with them. This is how the same passage looks after having been run through an automatic online translation system. When we are faced with adversity, or something we do not agree with most times, we need to change our attitude. As I grew older, it was difficult to comprehend comprehensively. As a child, if anything I have ever labeled was the attitude, something that is often done with children, I would fight my parents even if I agreed with them. That's not too far off. Some systems are worse than others. Examples of the inaccuracy of the online translation system exists all over the internet, from automatic captioning to funny videos about how terrible the systems are superfluous. On one hand, it's good to know that there are jobs available for hopeful translators. These systems can be extremely useful in single-word incidents. If you can't find a word in your dictionary and haven't come across it in your reading or experiences, I recommend running an internet search. It's possible someone else already went looking for the same word. Practice often with friends and use flashcards. Trying your best to implement new words that you've learned can really come in handy. Do your best to include them in the conversations you have with your friends. If you don't have any friends who speak your language, there are language exchange websites available. Two examples of tried and true language exchange sites are interpals.net and iTalkI. Creating an account is simple, and you can begin conversing with other people who speak your target language almost instantly. Try to think in your target language as often as you can, and set up reminders around your home. It can be fun to learn the words of different household objects, and they'll come in handy later. Learning 3 to 5 new words a day might not seem very impressive at first glance, but if you consider that it equals to 150 new words a month, it can speed things along. After all, you want to reach mastery in your language as soon as possible to start making money translating. When I started translating, I lived in an area that was densely populated by people who spoke my language. I had a huge advantage because I could go to any store on the block and ask someone what a fruit or spice was called. And because I was living a life heavily immersed in the culture and language, it was easy to pick up on the words I needed for everyday life. Learning a language from a distance can be much more difficult, so everything you can do to grow will help. Using flashcards to help the new words stick in your memory can also be very beneficial. It might seem silly, writing words down on cards and cutting them out, but it's an easy and affordable way to keep new words in your memory. There are also apps that you can use to make flashcards for your languages if you want to use a smartphone. I've found that having a physical flashcard helps me more. Brainscope.com posted on their blog a bit about flashcards. When you look at the front side of a flashcard and think of the answer, you are engaging a mental faculty known as active recall. In other words, you are attempting to remember the concept from scratch, rather than simply staring at the passage in your textbook or recognizing it on a multiple-choice quiz. Active recall has been proven to create stronger neuron connections for that memory trace. And because flashcards can so easily facilitate repetition, they are the best way to create multiple memory-enhancing recall events. While you're translating, a solid memory of these flashcards and instances where the words were important in your life is a huge boon. I can still remember some of the flashcards that I used when I first started, though I'm sure that I've forgotten some of the words by now. Use these cards with your friends and ask them about the words they'd like you to learn. Most of the words that my friends taught me were curse words, but there are a few that are still useful today. Of course, if you can afford it, there are official language tutors available. These are individuals who have already gone through the process that you're considering, reached mastery, and are benefiting from their pursuits. Almost everything that they'll teach you can be learned for free. I took a long class early on that helped cement my understanding of the building blocks of the language. Things like sentence structure and complex grammar rules can be learned through conversation, but are much better understood through study. Not to mention, when you understand how a language works, you can teach someone else why things are the way they are. Until you're ready to guide others through the ins and outs of the language, it's easier to navigate with the help of a guide. Learn words and skills specific to the subject matter. It is difficult to know what to learn first. You might never learn the words for longbow or judiciary branch if you don't study subjects related to these words. At the same time, they might never be useful for you to learn. It's vital for you to learn the words that are going to be most useful while translating in a specific field. For example, if you're doing medical translation, it will be useful to learn the names of popular medicines and diseases in your target language. If you're planning on doing mostly legal work, you can focus on words like promulgated or revenue. If you're just taking on anything you can get, you can expect to find a bit of work in a myriad of fields. Personally, I've run into and needed to know medical terms, legal definitions, jargon local to specific areas, the words used in school systems, and many others. It helps to study every time you accept a job, so you'll be ready for whatever might come. This will not only make you more competent as you work, as previously mentioned, but more confident as you converse with potential clients. I should add here that all fields are not equal. Working for individuals, I normally charge a rate much higher than I charge large companies. When I'm working for individuals, I work on projects from 100 words up to 3 to 4,000 words. The jobs that large companies provide normally consist of somewhere between 20 and 50,000 words. There is a huge difference between languages and professional environments as well. People doing live medical translation in one of my language pairs make around $60 an hour, while in another language they only make around 25. There is a lot of variety, and if you're thinking of doing translation professionally, that's certainly one thing to account for. It's all about finding your niche and making it work.